Okay, here's an update. Been finally starting to put some paint down on things. So what I've got here is just the basic uh, brown base coat, lightly done so that some of the black still shows through. And then I've gone in and started putting green down, trying to think of a decent color combination that would show. And then that was all airbrush, and then I've highlighted it with two other colors to start giving it some, the flat panels, some definition and stuff like that. So as you can see, it just gives a little bit more variation and stuff like that. So I was hoping to get one more layer down, but this really needs to dry. Then once this all dries out, and then I'm going to hit this with a satin coat. And then once that dries, then I'll probably hit it with the first set of oil washes. I'm going to be using oil washes on this one just because literally, I mean, you've got to use about a gallon worth of wash to make this stuff work. And there's no way you're going to do this with, pots of GW, anything like that. So, getting a big old bottle of mineral spirits is really easy. So, you know, you can do this. So, went to Home Depot the other morning and picked up a big bottle of mineral spirits. I think this was like $4, and I've got a big old tubes of paint, and I can, like I said, I can really make this stuff for pennies on the dollar here, and cover this up with washes. So first one's probably going to be a black. I'm going to probably do a black wash on this stuff on the this mold just to give it see if I can get into the crevice, a lot of the lines and stuff like that. Start giving it color, and then I'll do. I'm thinking about doing a dark brown on the portions here because I'm going to make this a different color dirt, and then this another lighter brown, probably maybe this even black, and then this a lighter brown, and then start hitting this up with some dry brushes and then some splotches with different colors, and then build this up as more of a fresh plowed dirt, and this is kind of the more of a packed dirt. So we'll see how that goes. More to come. Just thought I'd pick you up here where I've left off, and it's been one of those life getting in the way of hobbies. So part of what I did here is making an oil wash, and there's just nothing fancy here. It's just a lot of odorless paint thinner, and then just keep mixing it till you get, till I get a nice. It's still translucent, but it still gives you a nice rundown, so it'll leave a nice dark pigment. Now I'm going to use this as a pin wash, trying to get in all the corners and edges and things like that. So basically, what I'm going to do here is I'll put it on. I'll stop this in a short piece, but I just wanted to kind of show you again. If you look at this would probably be an entire pot worth of wash from GW, and this was just a fraction of the piece from the oil paints that I have and some stuff. So, and this will just be the first layer of it, and then the nice part with all the different oil paints I have, I can mix in colors and get different shades and stuff like that. So this is, again, for terrain, really easy. The only other thing you need to do is, unlike where you're putting on the same acrylics where it's just an acrylic wash, this is an oil base, so you want to separate your basically separate your mediums. So if you're doing acrylic, you don't want to then put an oil wash right over top of it. It just is not a good idea. Plus, if there's any cleanup, you want to have something in between it. So I've got a varnish coat between this. I was going to do a satin coat, but given how some of this thing is, and I want it to be kind of runny, and I want it to actually have some tooth so stuff will actually catch, I actually did it with a matte coat. Two reasons why. One is the spray matte that I have is actually, to me, fairly glossy, so I'm compromising with that one. Well, it's not a true satin or a gloss coat, which really lets this thing run and lets the capillary action go. I think it's a medium compromise for what I'm trying to accomplish with this. So what I'll do here is I'll stop, pull one of the pieces over, then I will just kind of show you guys how I'm putting this wash on. So nothing super scientific, but again, easy to do. Okay, here we go. And as you can kind of see, this does have kind of a little, to me it has a glossy sheen to it. So all I'm going to do here is basically start hitting different spots of it and just let it run. So as you can see, it's going to pick up, it'll dirty some of the stuff up, but it will still run enough for what I'm trying to accomplish with it, and just trying to hit a lot of the edges, dirty things up, and instead of making this such a clean look. So I did try to keep this fairly clear, so it's not too heavy, but again, it'll let me just pick out some of the edges and some of the details and stuff, and I want to let it run as much as I can, and just see how that changes stuff, and just starts letting it just takes away a little bit of that gloss and just picks up some of the edges, dirties things up. And then the nice part with this oil wash is I have plenty of time to play it around. So if it pools too much in an area, you just grab the brush and drag it around. So, and then especially what the weather is right now, this isn't going to dry nearly as quickly as you're used to with your acrylic washes, where once you touch the model, basically the sucker dries. This just gives you so much more work time, and just is, in my opinion, much more forgivable. So, again, as you can see here, I can push it around, I can drag it out, and make it a very thin coat, leave a little bit behind, and then when that dries up, it'll give just a little bit, knocks off some of the shine on stuff like that. But it's just so much more forgivable, especially when you're doing such a big piece like this. It's to me, it's just 1,000 times easier to work with than acrylics. Even though, yeah, you could mix, craft paint. The problem is the craft paint just doesn't have the pigment density, so you have to really slop it around to get it to show anything. If you see here the oil wash, just see how that just really, it just flows. So, and this is just, and that's just touching it, and that's all I'm doing, and bang, all that stuff pops out. It'll dry. I have plenty of time to work with it. It makes it really easy, especially when you're working on, again, look at this. I got to do all of this, and this is just one portion of the piece. So again, with acrylic washes, it's not as forgiving. So this is going to be the first layer of stuff. I'm going to go ahead and hit all this one, and I'll give a little shot video at the end just to kind of show you how this piece goes, and then I'll move on to the other item. Okay, as you can see now, I've hit this then with the wash, and again you can see how it's just pulling out the edges and giving it that dirty little kind of a grime look to it. No stuff will pool, so probably have to do a couple different layers on this one, just because it's that was still a fairly light set, and just picking up the pieces, and I'll build it up, but I want to let this dry, so it has a chance to see how the color is going to go, and then I can just again change the mix a little bit more, catch up more of the edges, and just continue to play with how much pigment you want in this. So in that, basically I used all of this to cover. Here's an example, another example again of why the oil washes. If this was an acrylic, that pool would have dried, and this is all I got to do to basically, all I got to do is it stays. I just got to pull it, and if I don't like where that pools, just push it around and let it go again. So that's the beauty of this thing. There's just so much time for it to work with it, that if it pools in a spot you don't like how it looks, you can just go through, and then even if it dries, all you need to do is get a little bit more paint thinner, and then just you can use a Q-tip and wipe it off, and then that's where the matte varnish comes into play, is that basically lets protects that paint underneath, so you aren't rubbing it off. So I'm going to see how this dries and then hit it in the sunlight and see how things run, and then I'll play around again with heavier and heavier, and then I've even got some of the AK Interactive dirt and grime streaks, and so there's a lot of spots in here where I can put dirt and grime streaks, where just by putting it on here, watching where this runs, and just let that dirt and grime streak just run as a natural piece for water and stuff like that. So here's the first layer. It's good, but it wasn't quite as dark actually as I was expecting, but that's okay. This just gives me a good idea of where it's going, and it gives it a little bit more color, and I'm just going to build this up, and that's all I got to do. So makes it pretty easy. Slowly getting there. Like I said, but once the good part here is once you start putting the washes on, you can put these on pretty quickly. It doesn't take much to mix one up, and then just let it dry for a little bit, and then you can go and put more on. So just keep layering it up as much as you want. Then once you have it where you want it, let it dry, hit it with another matte coat again, and bang, you're all sealed up. So once I get that base coat, then I'll start maybe come back with some dry brushes, and then I can pick out here. I specifically put these, like these seams and stuff you see here, I put those in with hot glue, and that'll just kind of look like the welded seams that come apart, and I can again push those up, and then it just gives some good edges for dry brushing stuff.